In the past, I've talked about how if you want to sing a song, then you're combining two languages. You're combining the language of music and you're combining the lyric language. Now, I wanted to talk today about what are some of the core elements. There's basically two core elements in speaking in the music language, and that is rhythm and pitch. The vertical of the up and down in pitch, and the horizontal, where is this happening in time? I want to go a little bit deeper in time, that an essential awareness is on the pulse, and defining what the pulse is. The pulse is, or beat. I like to use pulse because it's got that idea of something regular. It's like if you are practicing with the metronome, that's what the metronome is providing, is that click, click, regular thing. So if you're walking along, and then other things happen, that's the rhythm, right? The pulse is that underlying pulse, beat, regular thing. So I'm clicking a pulse, I'll speak a rhythm. Da get da di da boom da dan da ba ha ha button da, right? So that's the difference between pulse and rhythm. Now, there's all sorts of things to focus on when you're singing. There's all sorts of things. There are some core things that you always need some amount of focus on. I don't know, I keep coming up with driving analogies. Driving analogies for me work because a lot of people drive. And I'm dealing with adults mostly, and the driving analogy of if you're driving along and you lose track of what you're looking at, or you lose track of your steering, or you lose track of your accelerator, then you could be in trouble, right? So there are things that we do that after a while, they all get woven in, and that's just all part of driving, is looking, steering, accelerator, brake, gears, indicators, conversations with a friend while they're sitting, all of those things. But the core things of steering and looking and accelerator, you never completely lose track of. If you do, you're in trouble. So in music, pulse and pitch, if you lose track of them, you're in trouble, right? So to have an awareness of the pulse always, that's the meeting point. That's the common ground. So no matter how complicated the rhythm gets, the common ground, the way that you can dialogue with each other solidly, is by everybody being aware of the pulse. So I've said to groups, it's less impressive for me if you go da da di da 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 da, some complicated rhythm. But if that complicated rhythm is not connected to the pulse, it's hard to understand. What are you trying to say? Yeah. Whereas if somebody's like ba 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 ba, right? That's more impressive to me. If that's really on the beat, that's really with the pulse, then as a musician, an experienced musician, I can play with you. So if I play percussion, and if I'm playing with anybody, It doesn't matter the level of the percussionist. If they can be with the pulse, I can play with them. We can dialogue. We can have a conversation. But if that connection to the pulse wavers, if it drifts, then the conversation goes. It's like all of a sudden your language, you've said something that just doesn't make sense, like inserting the word beetroot into this conversation. How does that make sense? It doesn't really. So going off pulse is confusing because it's a fundamental element of the language. You can't drift off it. So practicing being aware of the pulse. I mean, kids do it. We all do it instinctually. When we listen to a piece of music that we like and we start tapping our foot, you see kids, they're listening to the music, and it might be a complicated Latin rhythm. It doesn't matter how complicated it gets, you can still tap your foot. And that's simple, right? You're looking for the listening for that regularity. And also the thing about pulse is it's not a part of the body, though it can be expressed in the body, right? So where do you express your pulse most naturally? So if there's a pulse going, what part of your body wants to move first? What part of, your shoulders want to just do a little jiggy? Is it your knees? Is it your foot? Is it the heel of your foot? Is it your elbows? Is it your head? Right? Noticing that instinctual representation of the pulse in your body. And that's a great indicator that you're connected to the pulse, right? For singers, it's not so great to have the pulse in your head because then you're kinking the pipe all the time. But the beautiful thing is you can move it. You can put it in shoulders. You can put it in your hips. So dancers, depending on what style they're doing, they might put it in a different place in their body. I had one conductor I was working with, she used to go to a lot of dance parties with her Jamaican friends, and she had a way of dancing that meant that the pulse was represented in the upper part of her, in the front part of her thigh. It's like kicking a ball. And then that made the move really different. So, da di da di da di da di da di da 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 di da di da 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 di da di. Always, 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 always connected to the pulse. I had this experience once where I was playing in Zubop in down near Coffs Harbour, and we were rehearsing for the jazz festival, the Bellingen Jazz Festival, and we had a couple of guest percussionists playing congas, and I started going into a piano solo, keyboard solo, and I drifted, just like I was getting into it, and I drifted on the pulse for like a beat and a half. And in unison, the two percussionists yelled at me, Latin percussionists. They went, "Oi, where are you?" Slam me back to the rhythm. It's not something that you can go. So that's the presence. The presence in music is the rhythm. Yeah. If you do rhythm exercises with a group, you find that you have a look around. When you've really been working on rhythm, have a look around at people's eyes. People are more present because it's the now. It's the now. until it's a continuous awareness of now. Da dik da dik da de da dik da dik da de. So, if you can stay connected with the pulse in awareness primarily, if that reflects in your body, fine. Have that gently. That's not the core part of the pulse. It's like an electric current. But if you can stay connected to that pulse, then your conversations with each other musically will be so much clearer. So much clearer.